the structure that I've built the MoveU methodology to be is it is progressively uncovers. It progressively helps you understand all the major muscles and joints in your body. People have a fear of their body. They go, they don't know what's under the skin. This hurts. I don't know what it could be. I need an MRI. What could it be? The truth is, when you peel the skin away, you have a shoulder joint here. You've got a pec muscle. You've got some nerves that go down here. And so whenever I help people understand their anatomy, they become less afraid of their body. We're only afraid of the things we don't understand. So me helping people stop the fear is the only way I know to help people stop the fear is by them understanding what's going on. It's like being afraid of the dark. You turn the lights on. Oh, shit, I can see. I help people see what's going on.
Hi, I'm Lauren Parsons.
And I'm Andy Jackson, and this is the All Well Co podcast.
Dive deep with us as leading experts share their unique perspectives on topics such as recovery, sleep, movement, and the latest innovations in the space.
Mike, it's a real pleasure to have you on the podcast, and we'll get to MoveU in a few. For our listeners, our professional audience, can you just give a bit of background on you, where you're from, and really, what did you do before MoveU?
I guess a little background about me is I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I grew up,
Steelers,
I spent like 12 years. Pittsburgh Steelers. I had to be a Steelers fan growing up. I mean, every year for Halloween, I was a new Steelers. Like I had no choice in the outfit.
That's my team.
No way.
You're a Steeler too.
I'm from Pittsburgh. What are you talking about?
Too. I'm a Steeler. There's 3 Steelers here.
I didn't know that. How are you a Steelers fan, Andy?
So 2 reasons. So my soccer team in Scotland is from Glasgow, and that's the Steel City. And my best friend here is a Steelers fan. So when I had to pick one, I thought, okay, I might as well do that. And actually, Lisa, my wife, her surname is Stahl, which means steel in German. So it was meant to be.
Wow. You don't say. Yeah, well, that's where I'm from, Pittsburgh. And I can probably get to that. But I was there and I spent about 16, 17 years then in Ohio, got my undergrad at Kent State University. Kind of got into entrepreneurship when I was about 12, cutting grass, my first lawn care company. I still look back, I go, why didn't I just continue that? Why did I think college and that? Like, if I would have kept going with that long, who knows? I could have been nationwide Greenworks or some shit like that. But anyways, so then I went to undergrad at Kent State University, and that's when I met a chiropractor when I was 20. And I was delivering pizza. I was a pizza delivery boy. I delivered it to this guy's house. And I don't know. I was in a tiny town. I didn't know. My only inspiration at the time was Tiger Woods. Like, I didn't have any other people that I really wanted to be like with success. I didn't have the internet, really. I didn't have social media. I just had, like, the people I knew. And I delivered to this guy's house, and he had a nice truck, a nice house. He answered the door. He's always wearing, like, underwear. And there was, like, a new cute girl in the house all the time. I was like, what does he do? I think I'd want to be this. And needless to say, I ended up working for him for like 6 or 7 years. And I just chose to go into chiropractic. Then I went to Iowa and got a degree in my doctorate in chiropractic in 2009. And then I didn't really care. Honestly, I didn't really care for too much of it. But then I met a guy named Greg Rose. He's the founder of Titleist Performance Institute. They're the worldwide leaders in golf fitness and golf rehabilitation. I met him, hit it off with him, had an opportunity to be close to Titleist Performance Institute in California. So I took a handshake deal and moved out here, kind of set up shop, grew. In the time, I'm a golfer, so I love my outdoor sports too. Golfing, spearfishing. I didn't really get into that until I was out here. But I've always been into like outdoor sports and my extreme sports. Came out here to California, worked for him for a bit, started my own thing. Grew it, didn't really grow it too well. It wasn't really into the brick and mortar business thing at the time. And started making, I was making social clips, social media stuff, and started really focusing on that. Blew up. And decided to make MoveU and made MoveU. MoveU's like 7 or 8 years old now, probably 8. And it's kind of like, here we are 8 years later. It's kind of like the accelerated version.
So when people, that classic question. People say, what do you do? What is your profession? Do you say you're a chiropractor? What do you say?
Oh man, no, I don't. I don't even now. I think what I tell people what I do is I used to say I was a chiropractor, but then people are like, I see a chiropractor. I'm like,
Okay.
that's not a chiropractor. I tell people I'm an educator. That's my one word. That's my one word answer. But I'll usually continue it, and I'll usually be like, yeah, I'm an educator. I teach proper body mechanics, body alignment. I help people live pain-free lives. I teach it mostly digitally. I teach it online. I teach it through social media. I have an app. I teach on national television. Like, I just try to teach people in a fun, entertaining way how to fix their shit. That's pretty good. I like that version right there. That was clean.
Well, it's obviously I'm Scottish, so we know nothing about golf other than inventing it. So what's your handicap, Mike?
Jeez. My best had been like a 3.5. I'm about an 11.
You're good. Oh, you're good. Yeah.
That's not hardcore. I'm an 11 right now. So
yeah.
I can still get hot. But I didn't even really golf last year. But the whole last year, I'm a club fitter too. So I've actually grew up, I build my own clubs, not like carve it out, but I club fit, I bend my lie, I measure my shafts, I hit the sim, I'm measuring speed, spin rate, adjust. So I've been building my entire set of clubs from scratch for the last 1 year now, but I've only golfed twice. But I've been now in the last 3 months, I've just bought about 35 different putters. I've literally spent thousands just buying putters, and I've got it ruled down to 3 right now. So I've literally been obsessed with building the most, because I'm done trying to change. I'm really done trying to change my swing. I'm like, this is my swing. I need to build my set of clubs for my fucked up swing that I built myself with all this weird. I just need to build my set of clubs for my swing. I'm actually having a good time doing it. I'm having more fun than playing the course, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you briefly mentioned how you started MoveU. You kind of just fell into it. I'm sure, though, there have been some unexpected twists and turns and just things you've encountered along the way. Is there anything memorable that comes to mind that was just monumental?
Yeah, there's one, and I thought about that one. So I started making YouTube videos in 2009, and then I actually taught kinesiology. I taught kinesiology at California State University, and so I would make YouTube videos as well and upload them for the students. And so I'd make them. I'd made videos starting in 2009, and they did well. I just never knew what to do with them. I'm like, I don't know, set up an appointment to come see me. Someone in India is like, how do I fix it back? I'm like, fly over and see me. Like, I never understood like the online thing. And so at the time when I created my first, not my first business, I've made like 7 businesses, but like my first real chiropractic business was called Cali Spine. And what it was, I designed it to be the worldwide leaders in low back pain. And so particularly there was a muscle called the quadratus lumborum muscle, that deep muscle. At the time, not much research at all, still not much research on that. And so I actually made the logo. There was a certain stretch I was helping people do. And it was like, I'd never seen anybody doing it before. I don't want to say I invented it, because what the hell do we really invent anyways? But I'd never seen it. I was doing it, and it was, people loved it. And I made a logo of that stretch. And also that it all had to do with that muscle. And then we were making social videos in 2015. I started making them regularly for Instagram. And that was a big turning point, because before it was like random videos, and then Instagram, they were only 15-second videos, and the video, it just started taking off, right? But so maybe like 5-6 months into that, the video that I did, and when I say taking off, I mean at the time, maybe 6 months in, maybe have like whatever at the time, 10,000, 9,000 followers, something like that. One video I did with that stretch that my logo was based on, a Facebook group called MMA Leech shared that video to their page. They had like 1 million followers, and they had 4 million views in like 3 days. And I remember that monumental day going, that was like proof to me that I was good enough I was good enough. Like, I had something. It was proof. And that day, that's when I set it was right around that day. It was whether that day or a couple days after, I was like, we're going online in a fucking year. period. Like, I don't know what the hell that's going to be. I don't know what it is, but we're taking this shit worldwide. And so that was just a major, monumental, pivotal day. And that declaration is just unbelievable how the universe works, how God works, whatever it is that was working. But like all the events unfolded, and truly, like 1 year and 3 days later, it was like within that. My prediction was so like eerily accurate. And I look back in hindsight, I've been trying to recreate that. I've written down everything I've done that led up to it, went after it. I'm like, how do I recreate that sort of events to equal to, to take myself to the next level, But that one was just like, that was a monumental time for me. And that was just one of the ones where that was the big surge mentally. I gave it all up. I sacrificed. No golfing. No, not my handicap went from a 4 to an 8. You wonder how to get to an 11. Incrementally, it works its way up. And yeah, like I didn't do anything with family, friends, nothing. It was just literally 1 year of absolute all I could think about.
So, Mike, taking that, you're starting to show us the evolution of your journey with MoveU, and you're starting to talk about some of the demands of growing this business, etc. We've got a lot of fellow professional advocates here who maybe want to do that. What did you have to do to evolve personally, though, to meet those demands of, that growing business? What did you have to change personally?
I think personally, when I look back and when I look at myself today, I think it's the famous Confucius quote, which is "Know thyself." And now I know myself obviously more than ever, and tomorrow I'll know myself more than today. But I've lost my way a few times with this, but I'm definitely more on the. If you would take two people, let's just say you would take let's just say we would take Steve Jobs over here, and then we would take maybe like a musician or a stand-up comedian over on the other side. You've got one is just their own person, right? They got this creativity flowing, whether it's through music, it's through this. And you got the other side, they're structured. Steve, he's structured on hiring, firing, setting expectations. The best advice that I could give is I knew myself. I now know that I'm way more on the right side. Like, it's more about having the right people to help me execute on a daily basis. To help me stay consistent. That has been so important to me, is that like, even now my wife, she's behind the scenes. She's doing the job descriptions, the goal setting. She'll do the hiring. She'll do some of the firing. She'll do like the structure. And then I have people in place to help make sure my social media, we film, schedule out. We know we need 60 videos next week. Put those on the calendar, because I'll go in my shed and I'll weld. I put those in place, and I've lost them a couple times, and they've really hurt me. But really, I really think it's to know yourself and to know your strengths and to figure out how to do it, rather than trying to be something you're not. But sometimes you got to try to be something you're not and realize how bad you suck at it to like back it up and have an ego check about you really are.
That's really interesting, because I think that's why Laura and I work together quite well. We're very, very different. Mike, going back to some of the things you said in terms about, how you got going, etc. Was there ever like a time when you had this like massive doubt, or you had a huge failure that you'd like to share with people, and then more importantly, explain how did you push through it? What lessons did it teach you? What lessons did it teach you? Because it's easy to talk about success, but talking about doubt and failure and what that did to your resilience and mindset is a little harder.
Well, a couple of things. Let me turn this heat. Well, before I get into that one, I've looked at like with MoveU. I think I can get into the list of things, maybe like 8 or 9 businesses that failed before MoveU. And then, every time one fails, it eventually, like number 7 or 8, I didn't even tell my family and friends, because I didn't want them asking me 6 months later, hey, how's this and this? I'm like, it didn't work. I didn't even tell them. But then MoveU goes, and I look and I go, oh, like all those failures were designed to get me to this one. But at the time, the failure, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a failure. And so like, I think that people are successful become most proud of their failures. But the people who are failing are embarrassed by their failures. But when they get to the one, they'll be proud of it again. I've seen it over and over again. It's like there's a pride in the failures, right? Maybe it's the perseverance. But particularly in MoveU, when MoveU started, it was literally on fire. Like it was just like off to the races when the company started.
What does that mean? What does that mean, Mike? Like on fire? What does that mean on fire? Is that the number of people who are buying your services, number of followers? What does that mean on fire?
It's a good question, because there's two aspects to the business MoveU. Number one, there is this overall, like right now it's just social media, blog, YouTube, like this like that stuff makes us almost no money, right? Almost nothing. But most people see my success on the social media side, but the social media doesn't make us $1. It makes us a couple. If we only had social media, MoveU would have been under years and years ago. And then there's the product stuff, and the product is our right now. It's our membership, which is a monthly membership or annual, right? And we just relaunched that about a year and a half ago, brand new business a year and a half ago. So when I talk about on fire, social media went on fire in 2015 and just grew and grew and grew and grew. And I'll get into the setback I had, and then now it grew and grew and grew again. And then the business itself, MoveU, when I launched it was an initial instantaneous belly flop. And then I had to find a new way to enroll. I had created a program itself. And then there was to get people into the program, my first method didn't work at all. So I ended up using a webinar model to get people in initially. So there was a delay on that. So in 2015, social media, mid 2017, figured out the equation with the webinar model. Now that started growing. And what happened was this. When we talk about the failures, like I mentioned to you before, my strength is my creativity, being fun, being funny, simplifying complex information, like all around the content itself, and like me speaking. That's my strength, my passion about that. Well, whenever we started growing on social, this is where I started hiring people. I go, let's hire this person, hire that person, hire this, no expectations, no real job descriptions, just hire them and just go do this thing. And it literally, at one point in time, I think I had 19 employees in there. And it's still difficult for me to have like difficult conversations with people. I'm getting better at them though. I really am getting better at hard conversations to have. I look back in hindsight at the 20 hard conversations that I never had with people like Shirtless Dude. He was like one of the co-founders of MoveU, and other employees. I didn't
Andrew.
have. I just kind of let them slip. But all of those built up to a time where I let everything get built up to like a catastrophic level where I truly was in a position where I felt like my only option was literally to drop a nuclear bomb on half of the business. And it was one of the hardest times of my life. And so what happened with Andrew was, in a nutshell, his business ethics did not align with the company's. And I chose to fire Andrew. And what happened at that time was, number one, I wasn't prepared. And that was a huge lesson for me. I looking back, let's just say I still would have chosen to do that. I would have drug it out for longer and prepared an additional product on the back end instead of just having because he was instrumental to having I literally had my pants on my ankles. Now in the moment, in the weeks before, it felt urgent to me, right? So I did act on, it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. It was something that was urgent, that needed addressed. So I chose that. But the mistake that I made was this is what really got me, is that it was a total self-fulfilling prophecy. I go, my whole team is going to be against me now for this decision. They're going to turn against me. And so I went in the next day already speaking to them as if they'd already turned against me. I truly created a self-fulfilling prophecy. My dreams came true of them turning against me. And it happened. That's exactly what happened. So I ended up losing like 3/4 of my team. And because we're a public-facing company, there's an employee comes out and goes, Dr. Mike did this and that and toxic work and all this stuff. And so now I get all this public backlash. And so this time was, I'll never forget this. It was probably my only time in my life. It was like a 2-month period where I truly was like, I had never been, I felt crippled. Like I did not know I had no clue what to do. But here's the thing. I knew that I felt like I was in the middle of like a cumulus cloud. I had no idea which direction to go. None. Do I get rid of the business? Do I keep going with it? Do I do something else? And what I did was I truly was like, but I knew though, deep down that I was in a cloud and I was going to get out. I knew I was going to get out, but I still was bad when I was in it. Everything. Business is literally crumbling to the ground. People are pissed at me. And I mean, I take responsibility for these things as being poor. This is because I left my position that I'm good at, being my strength, creativity, content. And I left it and decided to be the CEO. I was hiring. I was setting jobs. I completely left my content. I really left it. And I left my lane and I did that. And so what happened is I just decided in the middle of all this shit, what do? I should be working. I decided to go spend time with my family for a week and a half. Just go be with people, my family. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made. There was a moment where we went out afterwards and I was in a parking lot with one of my best friends, Jennifer, and I was like screaming at the top of my lungs in this parking lot about like my belief. And that was like a turning point for me. And I came back from that trip and I got it again. And I remember I made a certain video and it took off. And I remember telling the team, I'm like, I'm back. Dr. Mike's back. I got this, bitches. And it was it. And it was like, but I still had to build a product. But that was the most difficult time that I can recall in like my last 10, 15 years of my life. For sure.
Yeah. Fair enough. For those that are listening that maybe don't know, could you explain the MoveU method and underlying philosophy? Just what is MoveU?
So let me get to the philosophy of MoveU itself, though, first of all. So the MoveU philosophy is built on 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars are starting with alignment. And the reason I say starting with alignment is because that is, there's a lot of people that do movement. Well, the 4 pillars, alignment, movement, mindset, and recovery. And so what that means is this. As a chiropractor, I'm taught how to adjust something back in alignment, but we have muscles that can pull the body into the same direction in which I'm adjusting. So I've taken the chiropractic philosophy of alignment and taught people and teach people how to align their body with their mind and muscles. Movement, meaning our body is designed to move through 7 different movements. We push, we pull, we turn, we step, we hinge, we lunge. Like there's 7 things it does. And so I teach people how to do all of those with proper mechanics and in alignment. Mindset, it's fix your shit. And what that means is it's your body. No one's going to fix it for you. And it's a philosophy that I really try to stamp into people that like, hey, it doesn't matter if the chiropractor hurt your back or you were in a car accident. Like that doesn't matter. No one's going to fix your body for you. Not a soul. It's your body to fix. No one's going to understand it like you will. No one will ever care about it more than you will, period. Your body, your responsibility, and the mindset is connecting with the muscles of your body into becoming really the other aspect of the mindset is it's a term that I've coined. It's called positional presence. It means that many people I see are in pain, right? That's the people that enroll. They have pain. Ultimately, to get out of pain, I believe they need 2 things. Number 1, they need to understand something called joint centration, which goes back to alignment, which is the ideal alignment for the joints. But positional presence is this overall, it's the holy grail. It's a constant state of awareness to the alignment of the joints of your body. Meaning, even if you're falling off a 2-story building, there's an aligned position for you to absorb that fall that will hopefully not hit a breaking point in your body. And the last aspect is recovery, meaning using recovery tools to recover damaged tissues, whether we get into soft tissue, we get into stretching, we get into mobility. But so ultimately, that philosophy of MoveU is built on those 4 pillars of alignment, movement, mindset, and recovery. And so what MoveU is we kind of bridge the gap between healthcare and fitness, right? Not the cold I left healthcare. I was in it for 17 years. I left it because I'm like, this sucks. Like, people aren't getting better in here because the system of healthcare isn't designed to help people achieve outstanding results. I'm looking for outstanding results from our members. I'm talking transformational. There's no transformation in healthcare. There's less pain. How is your pain better? 1 to 10 scale. It is just literally symptom based. MoveU is about belief in change, like believing that you can actually change the way you move, change the way you think, and change the way you live. There's an underlying belief that we can change. And number 2, it's built on fixing your shit every single day, taking responsibility, owning it. This is our only body, and we got to take care of it, because the aftermarket parts for these things, they still suck. Even though they're advertised with titanium and shit, aftermarket still sucks in compared to the factory parts.
That is so true. Love that. So success stories are always very inspiring. Could you share something particularly impactful, a transformation story that a MoveU member has experienced?
Well, what do you know? I happen to have one right here in my computer. Funny you ask. Let me pull it up.
So glad you did.
I've got a woman named Carly. And so to give you a little nutshell is whenever people making change, though, changing is always difficult to do. And that's why I feel like it's always an uphill battle we're always facing an uphill battle to help, because ultimately we're helping people change their habits. MoveU is a habit changing company. And it's not a stretch. It's not an exercise. This is a habit of how we move our body, how we think about our body, and making improvement to the way our body moves, and then sustaining that improvement. And so we've created something called the MoveU 90. And what that is whenever people enroll, we encourage people to commit to 90 days in a row in MoveU. 90 days, hell or high water. I don't give a shit if you're in the hospital with pneumonia. You can still do your foot exercises on the hospital bed, period. No excuses. 90 days in a row. And we've created systems in the business to support that. We give away t-shirts, thousands of dollars in prizes. There's community effort that works together. This is coach-led weekly challenges. Like, we really continue to build because we want people to stay. We want people to stay and do the work. I ultimately care if people change. The money thing is very confusing to me. Money, I don't know, it comes and goes. Fortunately, I got my wife. We have more than we ever have because of my wife, because I just tend to fucking spend it. So the money doesn't motivate me as much as these transformations motivate me. So I got one here, and this is from Carly, and she's been around for, I don't know, probably at least a year now. So I'll read her initial story, and I have these all day like this too. This was her initial post, and she says, chronic low back pain, reduced mobility for 6 years. Before the injury, I was athletic and would go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week for HIIT circuit training, and I would run about 30 kilometers a week. My pain started with a weightlifting injury that had me unable to walk for more than 10 feet and a lot of pain for a couple months. Once healed around 6 months later, I was able to return to my physical activities. 6 months after that, I hurt it lifting again. Through imaging, I found out I tore my L4, L5 disc. This time it never healed. And I've been to physio, chiro, massage, and even osteo. I was also rear-ended and suffered bad whiplash that led to even more trauma. A bad concussion lasting 13 months, neck pain, headaches. My right ribs were shifted more than my back. Now, still experiencing bad flare-ups, even though I don't do anything fun or athletic anymore. My treatment providers have come to the conclusion that I have anterior tilt dysfunction in compensating muscles. So that was her initial post. And then I'll give you her now. And she has like images she posts, because this is part of the structure we put in place where we encourage people to post these. This is 120 days. 120. She writes 120 days committed to fixing my shit and going strong. I cannot believe how my life's improved over the past 4 months and how much hope has been instilled in me. I've spent countless hours painting a spare room. I built a small table and spent 2 days helping a family member unpack into their new house. And guess what? I'm not in pain. I can move and feel amazing. Only in my dreams would I attempt to do something physical aside from carry groceries since my injury began. The simple things I took for granted. When physically able, I tell you, with a newfound perspective, I now passionately want to achieve goals I never thought possible and live the life I dreamed of. MoveU's completely changed my life for the better. And I know in time, I may never have to worry about crippling pain again. So that's her 120-day check-in. And I think there's even more recent ones. That's just the one that we grabbed right now. But
That's awesome.
That's the transformation. Going from like, I only see 2 feet in front of me with my life to like, I can achieve anything. Like, that's why I do this. I just believe in people's ability. I think people can overcome absolutely anything. And any doctor that says you'll never live your life, I'm like, I would never tell somebody that, because they're going to prove me wrong, and they're going to read my name in a magazine about them proving me wrong. I don't want to be that doctor.
I get the before and after story there, but if I was sat down with her and I said, well, what were the 2 things that Mike gave you? Was it 2 exercises? What was it? What would she say that made that transformation? Because I know there's a lot of people listening here. They'll get the fact that you're successful. They get the fact you've got really successful clients. But what would she say? What were the actual movements, the prescription? What was it that you did for her that changed her life?
So I think what you're at, now, I cannot answer that for herself. I could pull up other people's testimonials, but what I think what I can tell you, first of all, is how I designed this to be, is I believe that when people are in pain, we have these blind spots, these things that we don't know about ourselves. And someone could go, I have anterior tilt, or I have scoliosis, or I have flat feet. Like, maybe saying I have is the first step to awareness. It's the first step. But then it's being aware of that 24/7. How to get somebody to become consciously aware to the alignment of their body. And remember, I'm just talking about one of the 4 pillars here. Now I'm just talking about alignment. We have the 4 pillars. She's going to have a mindset component, an alignment component, a movement, and then the recovery tools she uses. But the structure that I've built the MoveU methodology to be is progressively uncovers. It progressively helps you understand all the major muscles and joints in your body. People have a fear of their body. They don't know what's under the skin. This hurts. I don't know what it could be. I need an MRI. What could it be? The truth is, when you peel the skin away, you have a shoulder joint here. You've got a pec muscle. You've got some nerves that go down here. And so whenever I help people understand their anatomy, they become less afraid of their body. We're only afraid of the things we don't understand. So me helping people stop the fear is the only way I know to help people stop the fear is by them understanding what's going on. It's like being afraid of the dark. You turn the lights on. Oh, shit, I can see. I help people see what's going on. And I help people understand.
Give them education. You give them education around the body. They see that. Okay.
It's built in education.
I get that. But okay, come on, I want a bit more. I want to go deeper here. I want to understand more about the MoveU methodology. Okay, so now I understand my body. I understand what the pain is. I know it's called a deltoid. I know I've got nerves there. Okay, but what do you do with them?
So I believe that that there is an ideal aligned position for every joint in the body in any given moment. And that what I've seen, and this is the belief that I'll die on, is that what happens to us over time is that our body falls into our body falls and stays into these misaligned positions. You may know these as scoliosis, anterior tilt, sway back, hunchback, kyphosis, valgus knee, flat foot. These are, and what happens is these positions are, our body falls into these positions and it stays in these positions. If you're, let's just say you have scoliosis, you are going to be doing push-ups with scoliosis, squatting with scoliosis, lunging with scoliosis, twisting with scoliosis. You literally carry that frame of yours that now is distorted, and you are doing your exercises around that. I'm helping people understand and see that and actually correct that misalignment with their muscles.
Okay.
And then maintain that. It's not like an exercise that goes away. It's a connection with the muscles that winging scapula that unwing the scapula through a scapula scoop position, the serratus anterior, the lower trap, but that connection with it, and helping people connect with the muscle and feel it and look at themselves in the mirror when they do it. It's not doing the sets and reps, Andy. It's about connecting with it, maintaining it, being aware of it. So when it slips out, you go, oh shit, you now know you're out. And so that is like, that's my favorite part of what I do. And I think I'm just kind of like hardcore with the mindset stuff. Like fucking hey, no excuses. Like you connect with your muscle. But ultimately, I'm helping people understand their own misalignments. Most people fall in the common set of them. I mean, and I built all the programs. It's purely educational, but they're all built. They're weighted based on what exists in our society first. And so I built it around the back and the core. So I don't know if this is getting to what you're looking for, but it's more than a stretch. It's not a stretch. It's not an exercise. It's an actual understanding of what's going on and the ability to self-correct the misalignment and sustain that self-correction throughout the day is really the fucking root of the alignment aspect and the movement aspect that I'm helping people hit.
I mean, really, your analogy of earlier in terms of when we're talking about the golf swing is kind of like that, isn't it? You can't fix the golf swing unless you understand what your body is doing there. And once you understand it, there's then practice and repetition. Assume that's what you're talking about in terms of alignment.
Yeah, that's very much so. And even with alignment, let's take the golf swing, for example. Someone could be trying to constantly... The golf swing analogy is a good one. Like I said myself, I don't practice enough to actually make those changes that would get me down to a scratch golfer. But I do believe I can get there with my current swing and the right equipment. I guess I'm using with the golf swing. I'm building my swing around my equipment right now because I'm not putting the time in the daily time to actually change my golf swing to where it needs to be to produce the more consistent results. Where I'm helping people actually make the change to their golf swing, so they can just use their regular clubs and don't got to spend a year.
Yeah. So, obviously you've got a strong presence on social media. So that platform of social media has obviously influenced the way that you're working with those clients and your audience and how you've grown your community. How have you grown it? And then if you were giving anybody who's starting out, what one tip would you give them about growing their own social media?
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to answer this correctly. The question to me, it's not really resonating the way it's not resonating, but I'm going to say that our community, we have two communities. We have our community inside of our membership itself. That's a community within the MoveU app. There's daily posts, weekly stuff. That all is for our members. Then we have our community, which is our social community, right? And our social community is different than our member community. Now, our social media community is obviously our largest and our biggest reach. I'd say as that community grows, I do feel the more it grows, the more responsibility I feel to improving my messaging to honestly, Andy, I have a hard time with social media right now. I'll be honest with you. I've done 3,000 Instagram posts. I tend to get bored with things. I need a new edge. Like they're doing the same format we've done. I'm honestly bored with it. I'm mixing it up. We got a new content creator starting. I'm looking for new coaches, etc. But I realized that thing because I really want to express on social. Like I always want the content to be like super exciting and like cutting edge and a reflection of the comedy and also the education. I want that to be. And so when it's not there, I tend to feel sad and I tend to feel a little sad about it. And so I think right now the content is just like, I think there's some good pearls in there once in a while, but overall, I'm not overall pumped with the community. So I tend to feel.
So is your tip that you're giving then, I think I'm hearing, is you get to a certain stage, you built it at a certain level, then it's useful to get other expertise to come and help you to spend the money on it and get some expertise to come and help you to keep it lively and change it. Is that what your number one tip would be?
Well, I think the number one tip I'd give to people trying to build a social, because I think a lot of people listening don't have a social of this size. But I'd say to starting off, though, and I just gave some advice to my buddy, Chase, who started a new company the other day. And I said, every social, and you said one tip, every social media video, after you make it and you look at it, you got to ask yourself, is this adding value to the world? Is this making the world a better place? Is this adding value to everybody watching? Is this adding value to the world? And you answer yes to that one because he started to put out like highlight videos. I'm like, that's nice, but what's the value? There's no value. But you can also add value. Hi, my name's John. I want to add value to no one's going to watch that shit either. So you got to add value, but you've got to understand how social media works to make your content interesting and exciting hold on a second here. As soon as we start the podcast, the cleaning company, I think 3 women are here with vacuums outside my door. Hold on. I think they're vacuuming the outside of the door itself. One second. So I think for them, I'd give them that you got to do those 2 things. Like people, if you want to do Instagram, go on Reels and you've got to swipe. What is catching your attention? Now you got to add value to the way you add it with the style of content that is currently working. But now, once again, there's stuff that's working and then you could be cutting edge too. Like I didn't do that with our Instagram. I just started saying videos back in the day. I just was super passionate, had a belief about healthcare, and I was pissed off at the way things worked. And as soon as the camera started, I was like, I came alive. I go, oh, I'm good at this and I like it. And I basically set a new trend of content. Like back in the day, the me with a model thing, that wasn't even the thing. Like that was just, I mean, I kind of was one of the forefront of doing that. And then people started doing that then. But I didn't follow trends to do that. I just kind of, that came out. So, you know, I guess there's a couple ways with people growing. You can kind of see what is working, trends, and plug your stuff in, or you try your own shit. But you got to add value to people's life, and it's got to be interesting, period. It has to be interesting.
Taking it a little bit further, so with the advancement of technology, where do you see the future of fitness and wellness heading, and how are you at MoveU positioning yourself around the advancement of technology?
Yeah, so we just beta launched a posture assessment AI tool. We just beta launched it. And basically you take your picture from a camera, you upload, and it draws lines on your posture, and it sends you a report. And so I encourage you guys to try it out too, and our audience to try it out. Posture.moveu.com. I'm sure you have links in that for that too.
Sure.
I see, at least in my aspect, like I said, I'm not so much, I guess I'm in between fitness and medical, but I really do the 3D biomechanical assessment, and the way to, up to 5 years ago, you'd put these sticky pads on your body, have to have all this technology, and it measures you. Now I'm just at a conference. It's able to use some of the sensors within the phone itself, which there you go. Everyone's got phones. But I ultimately see the future of coaching being like, many people go, I don't know if I'm doing it right. But if we can have that camera, you're watching yourself on an iPad, and as the shoulder goes up, you see the lines, and it'll say pull shoulder down, tilt this down further. You basically can have your own coach in front of you, giving you cues based on your biomechanics that is assessed from the technology in your camera, but gone through software. I love that way for the future. I think that's really going there. So I said, I just launched an AI tool, and ultimately I'm working on partnering right now with another company with using that thing to the next level. I do think it's going that direction.
Yeah. Mike, what advice would you give to somebody with a passion or an idea, but they just might be hesitant to take the first step into being an entrepreneur? What would you say to them?
Two things come to mind with that. And there are 2 quotes from 2 different people. Number one, I remember seeing this in Howard Stern. First of all, my mom used to let me listen to Howard Stern, but when I was like 8 years old to 12, and I go, I feel like I do that every day.
It's all making more sense.
That makes sense. So, but actually, in his most recent book, his recent book he's most proud of is, he said, that's the moments that mattered in there. And he had one interview with Lady Gaga, and he asked Lady Gaga, and he goes, what about for like new musicians? And like, how does somebody know that they're ready, like, to make that leap? And she said only a few words. And she says, when they have the nerve. And I really, really like that answer, because I look back at myself when I taught at Cal State. I loved educating. That was a piece of it. Then it's crazy. I was on The Price is Right. And I was told that on The Price is Right, they said, when I learned this, my patient was like, they interview each person. I go, they'll choose me. They're going to pick me. Of course they will. And they picked me. I was the first one called up on stage. But afterwards, I just go, oh, like.
What did you win? What did you win?
I won some purses that were, I learned about Larry's prizes. Basically, it's like a raffle. they ask Louis Vuitton or they ask whatever, Michael Kors, they go, give us some shit that you can't sell at your store. They go, here, have this stuff. I want some like green purses. I was one number off of winning this car, and I was heartbroken. I was truly in depression for 2 weeks after this thing. I was just like, why did I go with the audience? My gut said this. I was depressed. I like closed my blinds. I was like crying underneath a single light bulb. But it was that moment. I was like, and then I was frustrated with healthcare. But it took those things, and then I started making videos. Like, I had the nerve to go for it. Now, number two, a lot of people maybe aren't as risk taker. I've always been a risk taker. Not a problem for me. Lose it all, whatever. Build it back up again. I already proved that once with MoveU. And it was a Zuckerberg quote. And he says, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. And I like that one because, I mean, what's the cost of mediocrity? I mean, without risk, there's mediocrity. And maybe some people that's okay. I'm talking to the people who want more, who want to achieve, who believe, who have dreams and goals. Those people have to take risks to do it.
Yeah. Reflecting on your journey, I mean, 2015, you guys soared, right, on social media, and then you took some step backs, and you've talked through how just the trials and tribulations of entrepreneurship are valid and they're real. But is there anything that you would have done differently if given the chance?
Yeah, honestly, I would. What I would do, knowing myself now, as I mentioned, I really believe I'm much more of like the right brain, more of like the musician, comedian, kind of like solo. Now, along the way, I've learned to work with a team, and I love my team. Like, I've learned to be a team player. I was never a team player before. I've always been solo. Golfer, spearfisher. Like, it's just kind of like I didn't like football. I didn't like anything that involved me relying on people or them relying on me. But now with this business, I had to because I set it up that way from the beginning. I set MoveU up to be a subscription business. And with a successful subscription business comes, I mean, we had the aspects of email marketing, running sales campaigns, website, prices, operations, coaches. I mean, and then measuring growth. Like it truly takes a team to build that. And I really do. I love my team. And if I went back though, I would probably do all YouTube from the beginning. Because YouTube and flicking on the add button allows me to focus only on content. And it would have allowed me to stay focused on what I'm very good at, which is the content itself. And it would allow me to do that. And that's probably what I would have done differently, is go straight YouTube right from the beginning. And now we just only focus on content along the way. That's what I would have done differently.
So basically, yeah, if you're thinking about, from 10 years ago to now, what you're saying is that you would have gone to YouTube. But, it's that hindsight is really useful, isn't it?
It is, and especially for the younger generation, because I was just met with a bunch of students. I was in Vegas a couple of days ago at a Cairo convention. I took a bunch of students out to dinner, and I said, listen, guys, at all costs, you need to understand what I'm going to tell you. For you to be most successful in your business, you need to build your business around the life that you need to build your business around what's important to you and the life you want to live for yourself, period. Like, if family's most important to you, if your hobbies are most important to you, because the time as a chiropractor, having a 9-to-5 business, I love spearfishing, taking 2-week trips around the world. I just got back from New Zealand. I love that shit. And no one knows I'm gone right now because content just keeps coming. Here I am spearfishing kingfish in New Zealand. Can't do that as a chiropractor because you're in your own 9-to-5. To be successful, I truly believe you've got to build your business around your strengths, your weaknesses, and how you want to live your life. Sometimes you got to sacrifice all that shit for a period of time so that you can have those things, but you've got to build it around your strength and your weaknesses, or you can't mimic it off of somebody else who's successful, because that person was successful because they built it around their strengths and weaknesses. And I guarantee they're not your strengths and weaknesses. Maybe, but it's more than a coin flip difference. It's probably 1 out of 100.
So, Mike, based on that, that's a pretty unique perspective on your business and life. Is there one book that's profoundly impacted that perspective? Is there anything?
Well, I've always thought Richard Branson is probably the best example of the business and lifestyle thing. I'm like, that dude, he just seems to really, he would have a blast or making an impact in the world. It just seems really like, I've always liked him as kind of like that point. But in terms of the books, there's certain books I recommend. Usually to people younger generation, like really young, I'll recommend the book The Alchemist. I love that book, The Alchemist. I think it's one of the best books out there to help you understand what's inside of you already. Love that book. But like the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, I read that when I was 20, and I go, oh, I didn't know I could build a life. I could live my life, build my business. He's like, hey, here's how to work 4 hours a week and live and be wherever you want. I go, I didn't know that. Even if that stuff and there's no, I didn't know it was possible. Boom, possibility opened up. I love that one. I think those two, but the book that really, like, for people that needs a dose of leadership itself, I recommend the book Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage. That book. I read that book a couple months before I committed to MoveU. Like, that book was instrumental in giving me the motivation and drive and leadership to get MoveU off the ground. So based on where people are, I have different books. I love reading books. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. I constantly read. So I definitely have a plethora of recommendations.
So is there one habit or practice that keeps you grounded and focused?
It's got to be a newer one. It's one that's only a year old. It was like, I did an expedition with Wim Hof last year, and I've always been kind of yo-yo-y with fitness. I'll work out for like 5-6 months, and then I kind of don't do shit for like, when I say don't do shit, I might just mountain bike once a week or something. But I went to an expedition with Wim Hof, me and Katie did, and then after it, I continued my cold plunging. And I've done it for a year and 2 months straight. And I built this habit I loved from it. It basically made me feel amazing. First thing in the morning, I do it and I just go, wow, I feel like I'm a slow starter in the morning. So my cold plunge, then I did that. Then it built me a habit. Then afterwards, I'm like, well, I want to warm the fuck up. So I started doing a 15-20 minute workout every day after my cold plunge outside in the sun. So now every day for the last year and 2 months. And here's the thing about this habit. It's sustainable. I feel it. It's real. It's like, it's a staple. It's not a fad. This one is like, I work out in the sun, and I go inside and I have my breakfast. And it's just like, but I got to do that to get my breakfast, or else I ain't eating. I feel really guilty of eating my breakfast, and I didn't do that shit first. So that habit to me in the morning, especially in my profession, because I have a minimum of that. I've got an appearance minimum standard. Now, I'm not a trainer. I'm below. I'm a chiro. I got a minimum here. I got to keep above that line, and this thing is keeping me above that line.
Hey, we all got it. For anyone listening who's struggling with, let's say, their physical health, or maybe they're facing obstacles, what final words of encouragement would you offer to those people?
Fix your shit. Actually, fix yo shit. What it means is this. If you're struggling with anything, mentally, physically, spiritually, I don't know if Jesus would approve those terms. I think he would. He knows what I'm talking about. Career, fix yo shit. What it means is, like, you can't rely on others to tell you what's wrong with you, to give you the solution. You can't rely on it. You can only rely on yourself. That's it. You've got to do the homework. You got ChatGTP. You've got Google Scholar. You've got the MoveU membership. Hello. You got MoveU. Ultimately, there's so many resources out there to help you fix any of the shit in your life that you know you need to fix, but it's ultimately your shit to fix. Period. You've got to fix it. And that fixing isn't from a fad. It's going to be from you adding some things into your routine and repeating those things over time to build upon that, to build your confidence. Fix your shit.
Hey, Mike, it's our podcast is all about celebrating strength, kindness, and perspective. And you've shown some really interesting perspectives today. You've shown a lot of strength in terms of things you've had to do. But we are heavily about kindness, and we think the world needs an extra piece of kindness right now. So is there somebody you'd like to give a shout out to or recognize for their influence and their inspiration in your life, your career, that kind of reflect those values? So in essence, who do you want to show kindness to right now?
Kindness, huh? It's not really one of my strengths, but let's see here. Who could we go with today? Well, I got to say.
What was it you said, Mike? What was it you said? Fix your shit.
I did say fix your shit. There's no word. There's no kindness. There's no shared syllables in those. But I'd say, like, realistically, I got to give some appreciation. Behind the scenes right now, maybe from the outside, people might see my wife Katie as being like, oh, she's in the model in the videos. That girl, during my hardest time at MoveU, she actually jumped and went all in and helped me save the business behind the scenes. Like, she taught me. She came in. I was 37. She was 25 or 26 at the time. She jumped in and taught me how I learned real quick how little I knew about business by how strong she was in that skill. She's just got it. Like, she came in, she helped set the structures in place, the teams, and so much of our growth behind the scenes right now might not look like me because I'm the face of it. So much of it has to do with her. And even though she's out of the company 95%, she's like a board member. Still, she's in there. This girl, she could be the CEO for Peloton and kill it tomorrow. Like, she is so fucking intelligent and powerful, and like, her business knack is amazing. And she gave it all up. She sacrificed all of her shit to help me. Like, amazing. Like, she's so giving with that. But also, like, I got to give thanks to like I got like key mentors out there that have been with me throughout all of the times. Unbelievable how much help they still give me shit today. I don't even know. I can't even give back to them. I'm making some homemade jerky. They go, we're now vegetarian. I'm like, fuck off. Like, how can I help you back? They just give to give. And I just like, I have so much appreciation for them. And about 3/4 of our fans on Instagram, I give appreciate. The other quarter of them can fuck off. And then we got, of course, all of our members too, which, believe in me, that actually pay financially. It's actually less than 1/4 if you fuck off. I'd say 5%. But there's a lot of people I can give thanks to. But those are the people that are kind of standing out to me right now. The wife, the mentors, the fans, the members. So big shout out and thank you.
Just quickly before you sign off, don't forget to visit network.allwellco.com and join our professional network. You'll get to enjoy exclusive benefits from brands we love and have access to a community where learning and professional development are always at the forefront of everything we do.